Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. Goddamn do I remember it. The darkest 15 minutes of my life! The crescendo of terrifying laughter as the fire in his cold dark eyes ignited the cacophony of torture and anguish he inflicted upon me. For those of you who are unaware, a few months back I had one simple, innocent desire: to be a guest on the YouTube podcast Geeky Gentlemen. And I thought my appearance would be more than appropriate since their topic of discussion was nostalgia, and I say at the beginning of every video, you know who I am! But little did I know that in order to get on the podcast, I would have to attempt what soon became clear to me: an impossible task. I would have to murder a Russian, Serbian psychopath who lives in Australia. Yeah, I should have known it was a suicide mission, but I had to get on that podcast no matter what it took. So I accepted the challenge and took a surprisingly quick and uncrowded flight to Australia. Once there, the most horrific 15 minutes of my life began. He inflicted tortures upon me that no sane person could have even had nightmares about. Did things to me that the English language is too afraid to have words for. Now, no matter what I do, no matter what I think, he's there. What he did to me haunts every moment of my life. I have gigs upon gigs of bad takes from my past videos where I just break down and cry in the middle of them. It's worse than dying. But what hurts me even more is that he's still out there. And he's probably sitting on some comfy chair right now, laughing at the product of his insanity, at the broken man I've become. I refuse to stand for it. The horror must end. I will pay $3,000 to anyone out there online who can take down this horror, who can bring me his insanity-filled head. I will pay $3,000 to the man or woman who can catch and kill Milan Jeftic, 1992. You think you have what it takes? Please leave a video response. I'm the Nostalgia Critic, and I want vengeance. I just gotta wait for the response, so it might take a while, I guess. Jesus! What the hell? I got one already. No one even had time to record one.
Critic, you know me. You know how I earn a living. I'll catch this Russian for you, but it ain't gonna be easy. Bad geek. It's not like going down your local Comic-Con chasing Trekkies and Whovians. This Milan will drive you insane. But I'll scare him, beat him, and murder him. But I gotta do it quick. Bring back this internet users and the sanity that'll put web reviews back on a watchable basis. But it's not gonna be pleasant, and I value my sanity more than $3,000, critic. I'll fly to him for $3, but I'll mentally scar him and kill him for $10. So you gotta make up your mind. You wanna pay up, return to sanity, and get revenge? Or you wanna play it cheap? Check yourself into a mental institution before your next crossover review. I don't want no team or any geeks. There's too many trolls in your audience. $10,000 for me by myself. For that you get the head, the fat, whole damn thing. Think it over, critic. I'll be waiting. And do you fair Spanish ladies, and do you ladies of Spain. Goddamn video ruins dramatic exits.
Gentlemen, The time has come once again to discuss things.
Anyway,
You guys hear the face bomb?
No.
Really loud face bomb, and it kind
Okay, well, on that note, then, let's go ahead and start. So, hi everybody. Welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2, and joining me today is Milan Jeftik 1992 and Zazubar.
Hey guys.
hey.
So,
Yeah.
Bill picked our topic for this week. This week is a review topic. Bill, what are we discussing this time?
Well, before we get into that, I just want to say, Milan, didn't someone try to come after you this week or something? I saw this thing on the internet, and I wasn't quite sure what to make of it, where someone basically agreed to kill you for $10,000.
Yeah, I mean, it was a thing that happened. I was swimming around in the ocean naked, as I usually do, and then there's this big fucking boats are chasing after me, shooting, spears at my back. I got, 3 barrels in me, and, it was so fucking weird. They just started shooting at me. And I'm like, okay, fuck this noise. I attacked the boat and just destroyed it and cannibalized the people on it. And it was, it was weird, but I didn't want to do it. But, you don't shoot barrels at Milan Jeftik and get away with it.
Of course not. No, I mean, you were totally justified. Holy,
I was. This is not the first time I ever cannibalized my fellow man and was justified in doing so. Just gotta.
I completely believe you. I mean, wow, that's quite a story. Anyway, strangely, it's strange that situation kind of mirrors what we're going to be discussing today. What a weird coincidence.
My Little Pony.
The sequel to one of our most popular videos where we talk about season 2 of My Little Pony, where of course they start fucking eating each other. Things get dark over there in Equestria.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, it gets fucked up. Anyway, no. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I am very, very excited. Unnecessarily excited, some might say, because today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be reviewing not only one of my favorite movies of all time, but one of the most important movies, at least to me personally, because it kind of defined summer for me. Many years ago when I first saw the film, it just kind of defined the way, kind of the atmosphere of summer, what you're supposed to do during summer. It just became kind of a very defining movie for me, and kind of defined one of my deepest interests, and that is, of course...
Phil?
What?
Can you please say define 17,000 more times?
Shut up. Anyway. Sorry, I'm rambling, I'm tired. This is what happens when I'm tired. Anyway, so today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be reviewing the 1975 horror classic, Jaws. Directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss, all R's. I wonder if that was on purpose or not. I don't know. And we're going to be reviewing it, and we're going to have a goddamn good time reviewing it.
I'm not.
Why?
I don't know. I just like doing that. Whenever someone says we all or we or uses the inclusive thing, I just like the dissenting voice.
Ian's like the hipster of the group. I don't want to be.
Ian is just the fucking worst hipster on the planet, because no matter.
No. Actually,
he just can't be put into a group. He just can't.
No, it was really funny. At work one time, there's this girl that was gone for 2 weeks or something, and she came back because she was sick or whatever, and the manager said, "Oh, we're glad you're back. We all missed you." And I was just like, "I didn't."
No matter what, he just has to fucking go against the mainstream. It's fucking Anyway,
I'm so sad your child died of cancer. I'm not.
Listen,
we're all so sorry for your loss. I'm not. Ian isn't.
Us here, gentlemen, just want to throw out our deepest condolences for the people who suffered so much in that really bad explosion last week. I don't. Anyway, so this bit has gone off the rails. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna review Jaws today.
this should be interesting because, at least for me, because it's very, very difficult for me, at least, to separate the history of making Jaws from the movie. Because whenever I watch the movie, whenever I see a shot, I'm like, oh, this is how that shot was put together, and this is what happened to everyone making it. Jaws is one of my favorite movies to research in that way, so it's very difficult for me to, when I watch the movie, to separate it from that. And when I watched it this time, I did, and I thought, I wonder if it's going to lose anything. I wonder if separating it from all that fascinating history is going to make me either like it less, or it's not going to be the same kind of, masterpiece that I think it is. And it held up completely. It was almost like watching it again without all that background. It was really, really cool and really interesting. But anyway, so I'll shut up. So let's review Jaws.
Can I start? Can I start with something?
No, Milan, you can't. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, the thing I gotta say about this movie is it is also one of my favorite movies ever. I mean, just this is Spielberg at its best, and I just gotta say, and this is very competent movie making, and with the budget that they have, I mean, just the amount of realism Spielberg is able to gain. But I think the low budget really added to that, because I can't stand seeing beautiful people in movies, like in the background or something. Michael Bay is guilty of this. Like in the Transformers movie, in the college scenes, he basically told all the fat and not attractive people to leave and just filled the background with these supermodel level handsome people, only like with one fat guy as a comical sidekick. And I can't stand that in movies, because if everyone is so incredibly pretty, from like the 40-year-old mothers to the dads to the kids, I mean, it loses a certain level of realism to me. But with the Jaws movie, it's so real, because everyone looks like real people. They look and act like real people, and they are. I mean, you see fat people, you see skinny people, you see middle-aged people that look middle-aged. You see real people, and you see real kids, and you see just folks being folks, and it adds a whole level of realism to this movie. And some people might say, oh, it was filmed in the 70s, and so the haircuts are going to somehow make the experience less engrossing. And I say no. It's just people. And the thing is with that, with that element added to it, I think it's such a bonus in the movie's favor. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
it wouldn't have the same impact if all the people looked like movie stars on the beach. I mean, and the shark. People say that they can't really take the animatronic shark seriously, and for me, it looked real to me.
Oh, it looks fantastic.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of points, especially in the close-ups, where the mouth looks a little wobbly. But what adds a lot to the shark is that usually when you see it, it's constantly moving. And it's very hard to look at the details. And you see it so little in the movie that, when it does show up, you're like, holy fuck! I'd also like to throw this out there to Milan's point. Jaws is a movie, especially with its formula, you can't say that this movie's formula is original, because it's not. It is straight out of a 50s monster movie.
But the thing with that is...
let me finish.
Go ahead.
What makes Jaws is a movie that shouldn't be as good as it is for that reason. It should be thrown in that category with The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and them. And for some reason, we put it on the same list as other films made around the same time, like The Godfather. Some people throw it in there with, 70s cinema classics. And I'm going to say that the bona fide reason why is because Spielberg took the time to make sure everything felt real, to make sure everything felt like it was natural, that it was supposed to be there. Nothing felt like Hollywood bullshit. And that this town, Amity, that the people in it, that the people who were being killed by the shark, and the effects after it, felt like this is what would happen if a shark that behaved like this actually came into shore. So I think that's actually a major
interesting thing, Bill, because the stuff in the town at the beginning of the movie is the stuff I cannot stand. I like the opening on the beach with the teenagers. I like a little bit of the stuff with the town here and there, up until like the I like it when the first kid dies. I like it when they have the funeral and she blames the guy. And I like, the cool scene of the police commissioner character
Chief Brody.
at the dinner table with his kid. I like a couple of the scenes, but overall, the first half hour or so of this movie really drags.
No,
I don't start to enjoy Jaws until they're on the boat.
Yeah,
See,
I
that's a very
think that's very fair.
I disagree completely because, like, I guess it's only a matter of taste, actually. But for me personally, I don't think that's much of a problem because the town is just so well realized that you kind of get engrossed into the film.
Well,
and you
no,
really,
that's the thing is the town is so. I agree with you, Milan. The town is very realistic, but it's also boring. It's the characters don't really interest me that much. Aside from our main characters, and the most interesting character in the movie only has 2 or 3 scenes in the town, and that's of course Quint. There's the first scene we see him in with the chalkboard. There's the scene when they get on the boat, or when they hire him, and then there's the scene when they get on the boat, and then the movie starts picking up and becomes interesting when they're on the boat. The town stuff, it's okay. I like the stuff around the beach. I don't care for the endless debates and stuff like that. That just gets it gets boring to me.
See, I
really-
don't find that boring because I'm a big fan of these kind of movies when they analyze the consequences of what the monster, quote unquote, is doing. And that's what makes Jaws really, really fantastic in my eyes, is that almost every single characteristic of you stick a shark in these conditions and here's what it does, of what the impact is. You see that this town that is entirely based around commercial beaching and, water sports and summer activities, what would happen if something came in that threatened that stability? Like, oh, if there's a shark in the water, we have to close the beaches, we can't let people go boating. And the mayor's like, that's not such a great idea because this is where all our money comes from. And it's not boring to me, at least, but I said Ian's point is fair because not everyone is going to find that stuff interesting because the townspeople are not. They're very realistic, and that's something we keep praising the film for. And again, it's very well done. They're very
realistic, but they're not engaging.
Exactly, they're not interesting characters. Mayor Vaughn is just there because he's an asshole, and I like Mayor Vaughn, but I like him when he's having debates with Brody and with Hooper. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Hooper and Chief Brody just get back from when they find Ben Gardner's boat, and they're on the beach, and Brody and Hooper are basically yelling at him, there is a 25-foot shark out there, and it took apart a boat, and you're going to open the beaches. Are you fucking retarded? And I love that scene.
And that's, of course, a direct
sorry, you mind if I say something?
That's the modern version of Jaws. Are you fucking retarded?
Dude, what the fuck? It's like WTF, man.
Okay.
That's my version of Jaws.
my
no, wait, hold on, Milan, I'm sorry, I gotta make one more joke. No, the modern version of Jaws is not a problem because no one goes into the water on the beach. They're all just sitting on the shore texting.
No, can you imagine how interesting, like, what would, like, the tweets be like during the Jaws scenario? Like, shark, oh no, OMG, run.
Oh my
god.
Anyway, sorry, Milan, we keep thinking off, go for it.
My favorite Mayor Brody scene, like, I love the whole debates and all that stuff. But I got something else to say, but my favorite scene with Mayor Brody is just the part where the chief kind of takes him apart, where his son is at the hospital and he's in shock. And basically, the chief takes the mayor aside, like, okay, you're gonna fucking sign this thing. We're gonna hire this motherfucker, and we're gonna kill this fucking shark. You're gonna sign this thing.
Again, another
and the
direct quote.
motherfucker, let me finish.
Sorry.
Oh, basically. And the mayor is kind of freaked out. He's like, my kids were on that beach too. And at first you think he's going to hesitate, but, he's freaking out. His smoke is like, oh, my kids were on that beach too. And he's freaking the fuck out and he signs the thing. And I think, Mayor Rhodey is a commercialist jerk and actually responsible.
We're mixing like 3 different names. It's
Okay.
hilarious. It's Mayor and Chief Brody.
Mayor Vaughn. Okay, sorry. Mayor Vaughn is a complete jackass, but that scene kind of really humanizes him when he says that his kids were on the beach too. It doesn't what's the word right words? It doesn't exempt him from his actions
Yeah.
and basically damning those people to their deaths, the ones that got killed by the shark. But but it's human. It gives him another dimension actually. But one
see,
more
that's-
thing.
see-
One
Sure.
more thing before you,
Okay,
you know,
I'm
you
sorry.
guys.
Go ahead.
Look, it's to mention. You mentioned a comparison between Jaws and the classic 1950s horror movies, like monster creature features. Um, you see, people might think, oh, you would think it'd be like, oh, it's just another 70s creature feature, but weirdly enough, the tone. And the world building of this film really reminds me of early Stephen King, in a way. But it seems like it's such a versatile film because it has elements of real adventure to it, like classic Robinson Crusoe type of adventure, Treasure Island, that kind of raw, unfettered adventure. Men go out, get on a ship and hunt a giant shark. What's more adventurous than that?
Right.
It's just and it also has the kind of the horror creature feature element that you were mentioning. So you can come. There's so many different angles to this movie. If you're interested in these kind of movies, there's so many different angles that to appeal to a person. But one more thing before you guys interrupt me. There is an episode of Two and a Half Men where now it makes sense. Where Charlie and the half man, the child, what is it, Jake, are watching Jaws, and Jaws
Man, that
says,
sounds like a monster.
and Jake
Charlie
are watching-
Sheen and the Half Man.
okay. And Jake and Charlie are watching Jaws, and Jake is like, "Oh my god, this is a boring movie. You know what's a better movie?
Snakes
Snakes
on a plane.
plane." And I'm like, I just wanted to take a pillow. And basically, the Jake's like, "Oh, it's a boring movie." I just wanted to take a pillow and just euthanize him, just get on his chest, hold that pillow to his face until he stopped fucking struggling, and just throw him in the ocean. It wouldn't be. It would. It wouldn't have. No, that it wouldn't be out of malice. It's just no. You should. Your DNA should not be spread amongst the species. I'm sorry.
Because somehow
It
a
would
love
be
of
doing a
Jaws,
service.
because somehow loving Jaws is genetic.
Yeah. Anyway,
Um,
no, I get where you're coming from on like like I said, I don't hate the first half hour or so of the movie. It just drags on for way too long, and there's not enough going on with the shark to me that makes it interesting. Or I don't know, maybe if we could just see a scene with Quint in there too, that might make it better. It just takes too long for me. It's kind of just like kicking dirt. You're just like, yeah, Jaws, they're gonna go out on the ocean and get that fucking shark. But
that's a direct quote from the poster again.
yeah, and then you just like, okay, yeah, let's do this. And I was watching it a couple days ago for this, and I almost fell asleep during the first half hour. It just takes too long to get going.
I completely disagree. Man,
Part of that is probably that it's an older movie, and films are of course paced differently. And I'm losing my training for watching classic movies, which I'm not entirely happy about. But still, this movie just takes a while to get off of its feet, or to get up onto its feet, rather.
You see,
But the other major complaint I had about the film, which is something that I've never really noticed before, and you guys might harp on me for this too, but
probably
besides the iconic theme, the soundtrack sucks.
well, there's not a lot of score in it aside from the main theme. The only other theme you really notice is the one that's built around it, where it's like the adventure stuff when they're on the boat.
Well, like, all right, here's the exact thing that bugged the crap out of me. That made me just go, that doesn't work at all. It's this music cue that they play once they get the first barrel into the shark. It becomes very, high seas adventures, and I wouldn't have minded that when they were first going across the ocean and looking for the shark, but it's when they get the barrel into it and they start chasing the thing.
You see,
it's too happy, it's too upbeat, and it's too exciting, but in the wrong kind of way. It should be exciting, it should be thrilling, but it should be like on the hunt kind of music, not like, yeah, ocean adventure.
I
see,
disagree.
I like it-
love that. I loved it so much. I love that's the elements of the adventure that I really like. It's just classic. Yeah, we're gonna go kill this shark. Dun da 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 da
No, but that's the thing,
da
is
da
it's,
da.
it's too Indiana Jones, and it's not enough, God, I'm trying to think of a good one. There's movies that do it well. It should be more like action, excitement, like that bombastic, like heart beating. You get pumped up kind of music, as opposed to like swashbuckling.
I completely disagree for the reason of it's done because the whole setup for that scene is that this is the shark's last bout, because Quint sets up this whole situation of once I get a barrel in it, it's done. Because once that barrel goes in the shark, it's not going to be able to stay underwater, and I can get it up to harpoon it. And that's done to trick the audience into thinking the movie's almost over, because you've got
Bill, that's not a fair excuse, because you only know that because you researched the movie.
No, that's not true at all. Because when you watch the movie, Quint sets up that scenario as when I get the barrel in the shark, it's going underwater and it's going to come back up. And then it doesn't come back up for hours, and the audience is just like, shit. Because it goes into another pattern once the barrel goes down, and it's darker. It's kind of a descent. It's what's the word? Decrescendo. That's the word. It's a decrescendo into a darker score, and then you see the sun start to go down. And that's why that's there, because then it's like, this is not going to be easy. This is not a normal shark we're dealing with.
Well, like, actually, one thing the movie does that I thought was really smart is they make the shark into... Bill, you've talked about this in the Jurassic Park. There's the line between monster and animal.
Yeah, I'll get to that. Yeah.
Well, hold on. That leads me into this. I mean, we can disagree about the score all day. This is a taste thing, just like the complaint I have about where the movie is going at the beginning. I'm not going to say that it makes the movie bad. It doesn't work for me. But one thing that I found really clever about how they set this up is you have the shark expert on the boat, and he's telling you all this wonderful information about sharks, and then you have all this stuff going on with the shark that they're like not prepared for. They don't know what the hell it's doing. Like it's
Right.
going under the boat and fucking with everything that they have.
Right.
It's really messing stuff up. And you start to get onto that line where it's not even an animal anymore. It's this like intelligent monster. And the interesting thing it does is I can't remember if he has an exact line saying it, but you definitely get the feeling that none of them have ever experienced this before.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's
There's
either
a line
hold on.
there's the line. Yeah.
Milan, shut the fuck up.
Sorry.
You get the feeling that none of them have experienced this before, and what's great about that is it creates the possibility in your mind that no, every shark, or not every shark, but a lot of sharks are this smart. You just wouldn't know that because no one survives that gets to encounter this kind of behavior.
Right.
I think that's what they were trying to get at with that. So it was a really intelligent thing. And I actually watched all the sequels, and that kind of carries through to them, though it gets a little bit ridiculous.
Oh, especially with the last movie. This time,
Jaws
it's
the Revenge
personal.
or Jaws 3?
No, Jaws the Revenge.
Okay.
Because
I
Jaws
wasn't
3,
sure.
it's like, they don't give a fuck about their kids.
Well, like, the thing that I thought was interesting is they kind of seed what I was just saying in Jaws 2, when he's like, I know that dolphins can communicate with each other, could sharks? And they're like, sharks don't hold grudges. Well, are you sure?
Yeah.
So it was one of those interesting things. It's like, you wouldn't know about this behavior because everyone that would experience it usually dies. Is the impression that you tend to get. So that's just one thing I noticed that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw this out there. Again, as someone a little bit more informed about the field, not just the movie. This movie, and this is just me being... Because this movie, as I said earlier, sparked an interest in sharks for me. And One thing that constantly gets brought up in documentaries about sharks that are talking about the impact on people after the movie got made about their perception of sharks is that they perceive them as monsters. And the thing that always bugged me, the one part of this movie that always bugged me, and it's kind of a conceit because otherwise it doesn't work, is that it's based on outdated science because rogue sharks don't exist. It just doesn't happen. And it was based, and of course, this is not the movie's fault. It's the same thing as dinosaurs in movies used to walk on two legs and they used to drag their tails and stuff. So I can't fault it, but here's the thing. When they're on the boat and they're hunting the shark, it's perfectly acceptable to me that they go out and know where it's probably going to be, because Hooper has a theory about where it stays in this one stretch. So they would know where it's probably going to be. But why isn't it attacking other swimmers or other boats while they're chasing it?
Well, I think part of that is they attack it, and it realized where it got attacked from, so it's attacking back.
You're absolutely right. And this is not a problem with the movie because it's based on outdated science. Sharks don't fucking do that.
Well, like, that's the point I was making, though. Is like, this would be the behavior you would encounter that no one survives.
Exactly, because sharks, even great whites, are extremely opportunistic predators. And they do not go in any situation that threatens their life that they can't know they're going to get food out of. A normal great white is not going to attack a boat because it's not going to risk getting killed over just prey that it could get easily. It could go out to sea and kill a whale. It's a conceit. No, I mean, it's an absolute conceit.
To be fair, they're feeding it chum throughout the entire thing. And then they started attacking it, so it was attacking back.
No, I know, but they don't do that.
Yeah, well, Bill, that's the point, though, that they're making in the movie with their being so flabbergasted by its behavior about how aggressive it was.
No, I know, and I'm saying this, and it's based on more modern study. So I just wanted to throw that out there, though. But it's not really a problem. It's just because the movie came out when it did. But aside from that, I really like the scientific exposition in this movie. Hooper is one of my favorite characters in all of horror films because he's not one of those dry scientists who shows up in horror movies and just informs you about what's going on.
I'm here now to tell you why this works.
Exactly.
Goodbye.
Richard Dreyfuss puts so much personality into Hooper and into being a shark scientist. It's not just because, there's a lot of personality in his delivery of those information. There's certainly this thing of like, I legitimately love sharks. And I really, really like that because, again, it elevates it above the stuff that it's based on. It elevates itself above a 50s B movie. Because that's what they were like. They were like, oh, scientists don't need to be developed. They just need to, the cop character just needs to go into a laboratory and fucking talk to the scientist for 10 minutes, and then we know everything we need to know about the monster, and we immediately know how to kill it. No, Hooper...
Well, Bill, you're kind of going on. Milan, you were trying to say something when I was talking about the shark?
Yeah, it just kind of... What I had to say was kind of overwhelmed with this babbling, but I got something else to say. Yes, it's interesting that they gave Hooper an actual personality. And all the characters are really quite well developed, but Hooper is just... I love the dynamic between him and the captain, and then when they're just comparing wounds. It was just it was really great. It was a great scene, but it was just the you can obviously tell that the chemistry between the actors themselves was just great, because I've never seen a more realistic dialogue scene, in any modern movie, which is really weird. I never seen that kind of intense, almost improvisational scene work. It's really interesting, but I fucking love Hooper. I mean, all the characters, especially Hooper, they made the geeky scientist guy into basically one of the main heroes, and I applaud it for that. We don't have that anymore. Why?
Yeah, and it's really effective, and there's a scene that almost directly addresses that stereotype when they first go into Quinn's shack with all the shark jaws on the wall. And Brody introduces him as a scientist from the Oceanographic Institute, and Hooper just keeps throwing out boating things he's accomplished, just to try to prove himself to Quint that he's not just a geeky scientist. Because they have this whole big rivalry in the film over,
College
Quint.
boy.
Yeah, Quint is the lower class or lower middle class working guy, and Hooper is the rich guy who kind of has to prove his worth to the middle class guys. There's that whole scene on the boat where he's got all the equipment and he's almost embarrassed to admit that he's rich. I love that because he's just like, he doesn't dress like a rich guy at all. I mean, he shows up on Amity wearing a denim jacket and jeans. Fuck you, Ian. That's awesome.
It's really not.
It's fucking badass. And
I have to agree.
You both have no taste.
I don't care because that's awesome.
We don't have black in us, dude. We're white. So
Very.
Yeah.
Exceptionally.
Anyway.
but that's
Almost
what
like-
real men wear flannel.
Yeah. And I love that because it's this visual representation of what he's trying to fight. And Hooper, it's very hard for me to say which of the three main characters is my favorite because there's so much. Every time I pick one, another one shouts, "No, like this about me!" In my head. It's kind of it's something that makes me insane. Because I love me some Hooper. But fuck, I love me some Quint more. Just fucking Quint. We haven't really done him justice yet.
Well, like I said, Quint's the most interesting character in the entire thing.
Yeah.
You just kind of get lost in what he's saying. The best scene for me is when he describes the USS Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I adore that scene. The delivery of the bomb is such an infamous story, and it's what he says is completely fictionalized.
No, it's not.
I think no, actually no. The ship did sink, and the men had to float there for a while, and they were attacked by sharks. I believe about 5 guys died, if I have my history correct.
Oh, from the shark attacks? Oh, yes, you're right. That's something they made up for the movie. Or maybe also part of it is just public conception, or they did more research on how, each guy died. There's a great documentary they made. I believe it was 2009, called the USS Indianapolis, the worst shark attack in history. And the end of it, they're just with that title, you would think, oh, it's just going to be like that scene in Jaws, but there's going to be a movie around it. And then in the last scene, even with that title, they're like, not most of them died from dehydration.
Yeah, most of them died from dehydration and drowning, or like muscle cramps, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Only about 5 to 10 of them died from shark bites.
Right.
And most of no one was even eaten by a shark. Most of them just got bit and bled out.
Well, the sharks mainly of who they did eat was mainly the people who already died. That's the one thing they said. A lot of the sharks took the people who were already dead. And
Anyway, back to Quint. You just as he describes it, it's one of those things where, as fucked up as it is, I almost wish it happened that way just to make this scene even better. Because it's just such a fascinating description of history. You can almost see yourself there. And it's scenes like this that immortalize historical events as other than they actually happened, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things in history, and you know me, I'm a history buff. There are a lot of things in history that they're told completely differently than how they happened, just because it sounds better, and everybody's dead already anyway.
Well, that's folklore. That you just described folklore.
History is written by the victors.
Pretty much.
Well, not necessarily folklore, because at a certain point, once you start making physically impossible stuff happen, then you get folklore. This isn't physically impossible. It's just exceptionally horrifying.
It's exaggerated.
Yeah, I mean, like, you could imagine...
It's a big fish story. It's basically saying, yeah, I was there. The fish was so big. In reality, it was only so big.
He's basically saying, this is why I hate sharks. And it's just a really... It's my favorite scene as well, just because the acting around it is also really good. Like, I feel like if you didn't get those perspective shots on Roy Scheider and Richard Dreyfuss of them just looking like what the fuck am I listening to? Like, I imagine that's how we look when we're listening to Milan go on rambles. See, because Milan, this is the one time Quint fucking outdid you, man.
I
Jesus
know,
Christ.
right?
You got outdone.
Yeah, but I ate him. I ate his flesh, so fuck him.
It's just a guy who looked like him, and not even he didn't really even look like. He just had the same outfit. Even the face looked totally different.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I
except
don't really.
The guy that kind of looked like Quint was like exceptionally more ugly.
I don't know.
You see, I thought he was fairly. I'd go gay for him.
I don't know. Like,
No, you go gay for a chicken sandwich.
No,
yeah,
I wouldn't.
I don't really pay attention to the people I eat, you know.
Unlike the shark.
Ladies.
Because,
Yeah.
those Quint's eyes, all eyes, lifeless eyes. Anyway, so yeah, Quint is just a fascinating character. Robert Shaw fucking kills it. And let me just say this. This movie really benefits from the open kind of script that was written for. Milan was talking a lot about improv, and this movie was filled to the brim with improv. Because Stevens...
It was roto-scripted.
No, it wasn't roto-scripted. The script just sucked ass.
No, roto-scripting is where you, like, leave, or it's also a director's choice sometimes, where they'll just say, just get to this point, start here, get to this point. That's roto-scripting. So if they just had a script, but they let the actors kind of do whatever, that's fairly impressive, then.
Yeah, it's really, really impressive. Especially with just like a level, it adds a lot of personality to Jaws. Because all these scenes where the actors just get to bring these characters to life. You know, Robert Shaw's speech. So many of the best Quint quotes were stuff that Robert Shaw came up with on the spot, like the whole "Here lies the body of Mary Lee, died at the age of 103. For 15 years she kept her virginity. Not in the eyes of this vicinity." Completely fucking improv. It is actually this really funny story. It's really short, so I'll tell it quick. Steven Spielberg came up to him after they shot that take, and he's like, Robert, you have to tell me what song that's from so that way we can get the rights to it so we don't get sued. And he's like, oh, it's not from a song. I don't think we're going to get sued because it actually comes from a gravestone in Ireland. And Steven Spielberg started laughing. It's so, like, it's so out of place, but it's awesome. I love it. Because Steven was just like, okay, Robert, you need to say things that will offend Lorraine Gray's character. So he's just like, no problem.
I'm gonna put that on my mom's. Oh, dude, I'm gonna put that on my mom's gravestone. That's awesome.
Well, like,
that is so fucked up, Milan. Because you're basically saying your mom went, wow, okay, whatever.
Bill, is Robert Shaw a method actor? Do you know?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay, I got that impression. I just wasn't entirely sure.
He is a genius actor. He I know him from James Bond as well. He's one of the best Bond villains. He's Red Grant from Russia with Love, and if you watch them, it's like, this is the same guy?
Mm-hmm.
It's so awesome. I love Robert Shaw.
So you're sure it's a method? He uses the method style and not.
Well, he gets in. He's one of those guys who gets in. He's kind of like he basically takes a Heath Ledger approach.
Okay, yeah, that's method. All right.
Nicely.
I was just curious about that because I definitely got that impression, but I wasn't sure. And I figured since you're the one that's in love with this movie, I'd just let you do all my research.
Oh, I'd fuck this movie. I would.
I'd join you. We have a threesome. You, me, and the movie. No, just you, me, and the DVD case.
Milan, I don't know if I want you there when I'm making love to Jaws, because I kind of want it for myself.
Oh no, we can share. Don't be greedy.
No, I don't want to share with you.
I'll go. You can put your penis in one side of the case.
No, Milan, that's okay. That's enough. Another thing I really like about Quint is how he has this whole thing where he has this very subtle thing. It's not blatantly said, which I really like. It's done entirely visually and through implications with that Indianapolis scene where he takes this shark personally. Like the hunting of this shark is personal for him. There's just something about this shark that says, I want this thing dead because it reminds me of what it did to my crew members. And I don't want anyone fucking with it. So that's kind of why he treats Brody and Hooper so fucking poorly. He treats them like shit. And he feels so superior to them. and also why he smashes the radio.
That was like the most insane thing
Yep.
anyone has ever done.
I love Brody's reaction. He's just like, "That's just great."
That was really cool. I just love that the shark destroys this guy's fucking boat, and that's what really gets him to the point where he's like, you know what? All right, fuck this shark. I don't like. I got the feeling where, like, let's say, alternate universe of this movie where he's able to bring the shark in or get the shark into fresh water and poison it like he was planning to, and then, like, you know, without the boat going completely down and without the engine exploding and all that shit. I just got the very distinct impression that he would have gotten the thing taxidermied and completely forgotten to collect his fee. I got that very
totally.
distinct impression. Just like, yeah, I didn't do this for the money.
'Cause don't you get the sense that he's one of those guys who just likes to fuck with the system? Because he makes a big deal out of he wants to do it for $10,000. And
then he, like, wants a color TV and like, the Yankees or some shit.
yeah. And don't forget the color TV. And he's, yeah. Yeah, it's well, the scene where I think where it's like this fuck the shark is right after the boat explodes, and there's this quiet take where you just see Brody and Hooper just like on the back of the boat, and they're just sitting there depressed because this thing is beating them, and just fucking Quint comes out and it's like, Chief Hooper, and he seems so upbeat even though his boat's sinking, and because he's just like, Mr. Hooper, you say that if you inject this stuff into the shark it'll kill it, and you can get this little needle through his skin. I fucking, it's this great scene because he's so like, he kind of reminds me of Eccleston's The Doctor because he just has these huge mood swings. I love it.
Or does Eccleston's Doctor remind you of Quint?
Both. Well, Eccleston kind of has a sea captain.
Or is Quint the Doctor?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Dun dun dun.
Doctor would never kill the shark.
Oh, actually, it's a shame Robert Shaw never got to play the Doctor.
It's funny. I was watching one of the Matt Smith Christmas specials on Doctor Who, and there's this shark, and the sonic screwdriver's lodged in its, or like half of the sonic screwdriver's lodged in its mouth, and it's Matt Smith, and he's hanging out with a kid, and this shark is like, its mouth is stuck open, and it's trying to bite him, and he goes to the kid, okay, I got 2 chances at this, and then it's your turn. 2 chances, 2 arms. All right, here we go.
I love that.
So I was watching the third movie, and there's the grenade stuck in its mouth, and I'm like, all right, I've got 2 chances at this, then it's your turn.
It was also kind of a dick move because the kid can't regenerate.
No, but actually, that makes me think of something. I was watching these with Haley, and she brought up like something that is never going to leave my head when I watch Jaws for the rest of my life, or whenever I hear the theme. Okay, you ready? Nom nom. Nom nom. Nom 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 nom.
I really wish that was intentional by John Williams.
That's hilarious.
You will never lose that in your mind. Just the shark going nom 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 nom. Because she did it every time. We watched all 4 movies, and she did it every time the shark was like biting someone.
So how quick before you were screaming at the screen in Jaws 4?
I don't know. I actually kind of like Jaws 4.
Why?
It's insane, but it's surprisingly pro-feminist. It has Alfred.
Yeah.
Alfred.
Yeah, Michael Caine's in it. He's kind of a badass in it too.
It's one of those things I expected it to be terrible, and it was, so I enjoyed it because of that.
You see, I actually think it's slightly less bad than Jaws 3, because Jaws 3 is a fucking disaster.
Oh, it really is. Though it makes more sense that the boys are doing what they're doing in Jaws 3 as opposed to Jaws 4.
Well, also the fact that, like, yeah, totally. It's like, what the fuck?
Like, their career choices make so much more sense in that film.
Also, how does Dennis Quaid turn into the dude in Jaws 4? How does that make sense?
It's not. They're like totally separate continuities.
Well, no, because the actor for
Ugh.
Sean stays the same. Anyway, why are we fucking talking about 3 and 4?
Well, no, because I watched all of them, and I mean, it's the first one's definitely the best. I think the problem that the other 3 have, there's a multitude, but the biggest issue is that none of them have a character as interesting as Quint. The second movie tries to make what's the cop's name?
Chief Brody.
The second one tries to make Chief Brody into Quint, and he's just not. They try to make him like Quint 2.0, as he's like warning everybody about the shark, and like he's got the perfect awesome plan to beat the shark and all this stuff, but he's just not as badass.
Yeah.
And then the third movie tries to do the same thing, but with the British guy, not as interesting, and he dies in a really stupid way. I mean, who the fuck ties a bad knot when it's your life on the line? And then the fourth movie, they try to make the mother into Quint, which was an interesting choice.
Although
I don't know.
I
wish
wish she blames the shark for the chief having a heart attack. I find that hysterical.
Nah, it makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. I mean, because like you don't get to see his life because the actor decided not to come back to that franchise.
Well, Jaws 2 probably cemented that. It's funny, Jaws 2 is not like Batman and Robin level bad. The problem with Jaws 2 is it's insanely boring because it's weird. Ian, I almost have the complete opposite problem with Jaws 2 that you do with the first movie. I find the first 40 minutes actually fairly interesting, and then the last part of the movie sucks. It's like once they're on the water, it's terrible. But like the stuff with Brody,
subtext is the fine thing to have.
well, it's almost like because the stuff with Brody almost going insane over the shark, it's really interesting. But just that water scene sucks. And why does the shark have to have half its face blown off? That doesn't add anything. You see it like twice. Anyway, but the idea of a shark killing an orca is hilarious.
I don't know, I didn't mind. Well, it was obviously a baby orca, but anyway. I didn't mind the water scene in Jaws 2. I enjoyed Jaws 2.
Yeah.
I enjoyed all of these except for 3. I find myself laughing hysterically at the bad effects in Jaws 3. Like,
I know, right?
It's so incredibly terrible. Like, the worst one's probably that first one with the floating arm. And I didn't realize that Jaws 3 was originally in 3D. And I was like, oh, that's why they're so bad.
Yeah. Well, what's also really hysterical is in Jaws 3 is that it has the biggest problem of using shark stock footage. Because they use it very, very sparingly in the first movie. I don't even know if there's any in the second. But you see real sharks like, a couple times in the first movie. And then in the third movie, they must have had a shitty budget because I guess they just couldn't get footage of a real great white. So all of the footage of the sharks are nurse sharks, which look nothing like great whites. They're a completely different section of that fucking family of animals. And when you see the baby great white in that tank, it's fucking hilarious because it looks nothing like a great white. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it looked really bad, and it was so confusing that was supposed to be the baby because there's nothing to give it scale until it's in the tank.
And then you barely see it.
No, I mean, it's just like until it's in the tank and they're like standing on it and whatever. There's nothing to really give it any kind of scale, which is a really big problem because when they catch it, they act like they got the fucking big thing. It's so damn aggravating.
Which pisses me off because they stole that from another monster movie.
Everyone, I just gotta say, I was smart enough not to watch all the Jaws sequels, so yeah.
But on, it's Jaws 2, 3, and Jaws the Revenge. Why would you not watch them?
Because I am an intelligent and worthwhile human being.
But Milan, Jaws 3 and Jaws the Revenge.
Jaws 3D. Excuse me, Ian. Fuck.
How could it not be amazing, Milan? How could
there are a lot worse movies out there because they have moments of entertainment in them. If you look at them compared to the first movie, they're abortions.
I mean, yeah, they're really not good, but I wanted to watch them all to really see where this series went wrong.
You just wanted to see the turd spin through the drain.
Yeah,
Well,
all right.
It's funny.
Well, actually,
Spielberg,
that gets us to something real quick, just because this is a good point to transition to it. Magpie sent us a Skype-in file, so I'm going to play it right now.
All right then.
Hello guys, just wondering what your thoughts are on Jaws and its differences from the book, and whether it has reached a point where there should be a remake of some kind made. Okay, thanks for listening, guys.
Oh, okay. I haven't read the book.
No, this should not be a remake. Hollywood, if you touch Jaws, I will go over there and I will castrate every single producer in Hollywood and then drop a nuclear bomb on Hollywood, killing everybody.
I've actually read the book. Here's
Well,
the thing.
I read the book, but I was like 10.
All right, here's the thing. I'm gonna say this. I like the movie better than the book, and here's why. The shark is the plot of the movie. The book goes all over the fucking place. Just all over the place. Like, it goes from, like, Mrs. Brody has an affair with Hooper. There's this weird, like, connection between what's going on in Amity and the Mafia, and it just goes all over the place. And it takes so long for the shark to be the plot, and I found it boring as when I read it, and I don't think it's worth. And let me say this. I don't think it's worth remaking because I don't see where this would be different from the 98 version of Psycho, where it's just being remade shot for shot. And I'll say this, and Milan, I don't think that Jaws is untouchable. I just don't think that there's a filmmaker out there who can make a new Jaws movie that's original, because the only way I can see it is if someone has a really good idea for how to do it in a modern setting of what would be different. But that's the only thing I can see worth doing, and that's all I'll say.
Guys, one more thing.
Well,
okay, look, listen. If you had the opportunity, if you had the choice between watching a remake of Jaws or the movie Jaws, which one would you see? Oh, like, oh yeah, I would want to watch Jaws, but here's a remake by Michael Bay. I'll watch that instead.
Well, it doesn't.
No.
It wouldn't be Michael Bay, Jack. You automatically go to the worst possible outcome. I'm just saying, I think I might watch a remake. I mean,
I definitely
if they did it right, if they got a really good cast. Like, imagine 3 A-list actors in the cast as our 3 main characters. Just A-list, top-of-the-line actors. That could be a really good reason to remake it. To get just really, really good actors and, a good budget behind it, but still shoot it the same way so that we don't see the shark for a while. And get, better effects on the shark, blending CG and practical effects this time, to make it a more believable looking thing, so that, like, some people aren't, weirded out by the mechanical shark.
Fuck those people.
No, because I don't even think the shark looks that great. I mean, it's just not, it's not in it that much, and when you see it, it doesn't stop fucking moving, so it doesn't really matter. The thing is, every time I consider what a Jaws remake would be like, and maybe there's a really talented Hollywood guy out there, maybe there's a really talented filmmaker, let's just leave Hollywood out of it, just a really talented filmmaker who has a vision for a Jaws remake, go for it. I just personally can't see it. If that person exists, I would love it's not like, I'm not like saying I wouldn't want to see if someone can make a good Jaws remake, fucking go for it. I'd love to see it. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine what it would be like, what you would do with it. Maybe that makes me, like, uncreative or unimaginative, but whatever. I'll just say this to kind of wrap up. If someone offered me that job, I'd be like, no, I just can't do it.
Nah, you'd take it in a heartbeat.
No, I wouldn't, because I can't. I just wouldn't. I can't see myself doing it. I have no vision.
No,
for
you
it.
take it in a heartbeat because some magic studio executive knocked on your front door and offered you a movie to direct.
Well, no, I mean, presumably this would be if I ever get into the field. So it's like, I have no vision for it. I'd be like, find someone with a vision for it because I don't have one. I'm sorry, because I just can't see it. If you find someone with a vision, great. I don't have it, and no one I know has it. So.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think it's like, who would bother? Like, if what you make happen, turns out.
I think it's unnecessary too. I agree.
Oh, it's totally unnecessary. It's kind of retarded. Why would you want to make a remake of Jaws? Why would you want to have your name attached to that? That's like, who's that guy?
Well, if it's good,
No, what if you're like, who's this guy? Oh, he remade Jaws. Oh, blacklist that motherfucker.
Well, if it's bad, then if they made a shitty Jaws remake, which if it ever happened, it'll probably be. But
what if it's even a subpar Jaws remake? Oh, it's okay. But who would want to see that instead of the original? Who?
People who don't like an animatronic shark. I can
name
a bunch of people I know personally who would be like, "Fuck the original. The remake is gold." I'm like, "No, it's not."
No.
Look,
those people. We call them subhumans.
Do we?
Yes, we do. Well, I do anyway.
Hang on, let me go tell my brother that. Anyway, let me just throw this out there to one of Ian's points. If you could find actors out there who could pull off these roles, or if they even decided to use a different cast of characters, which, why? My only problem will be like, these actors were so realistic in their interpretations of these characters. The movie is just so real in how it presents itself. That's the other big thing that holds me back from seeing how it could be done, because it is just so fully realized. I can't imagine another movie taking the same tack and doing it just as well, or even succeeding in doing it. Can you create another Amity that's not going to be the same thing as Spielberg's, and have it be as real and have the situation with the shark be as consequential as it is?
Oh, wait. I've got an idea. Instead of a remake, okay, and instead of a sequel, it's Jaws, but the entire thing is from the shark's perspective.
There's actually a fan fiction that's like that. It's not terrible.
No, I mean, just the entire film is shot first person from the shark's perspective.
Well, there's a video game called Ultimate Jaws where,
You mean Jaws Unleashed?
Oh, why do I keep putting Ultimate? You're right. And that's what it is, and it's fucking awesome. It has nothing to do with Jaws, but it's fucking awesome. You just go around as the shark butchering things with that music behind you, and it's awesome.
That is ridiculous. How do you make a game out of that?
No, Ian, it is insanely fun. I mean, there's
it sounds like Hulk Ultimate Destruction, but I don't understand how you progress in a game where you're a fucking shark.
Well,
how do you get upgrades?
Well, no, you eat a lot, and that's what you do. I mean, the plot is that
you eat, you swim, you eat, and you make baby sharks. That's all you do.
It's really a miracle of evolution, because all this machine does is eat, swim, and make little sharks, and that's all.
I played the demo for Jaws Unleashed once, and I'm just like, how do you make a long-term game out of this? It's just like, it seems like, you know when you play Grand Theft Auto and you get all the cheat codes and then you run around town blowing shit up for like an hour, and then you're like, well, now I'm bored.
Yeah, I do that a lot, yeah.
It's like, it seems like that would be Jaws Unleashed to me. It's like, I just have a lot of fun eating shit for an hour.
Yeah.
Well, here's fucking boring.
Here's the thing, because they tease you with it. The demo is the first 25 minutes of the game. Because the opening of the game is basically the first movie where you just go around and you butcher people. And then you get captured by SeaWorld. And then they throw you in a tank and you have to escape. And, it's hilarious, because the shark somehow knows how a fucking door works. So you have to... Let me just describe this, because it's fucking hilarious. So there are scientists that swim past your tank, and the shark is, of course, able to jump up onto the platform and grab the scientists. And what you have to do is jump up on the scientists, grab them, and then push and kind of swerve on the ground over to the door, and they have a key card that'll open it. And thankfully, when you bit them, they were courteous enough to outstretch their arm, and with the card in their hand, and it's open. Thanks for those courteous scientists. Anyway, so you progress in the game to destroy SeaWorld, and you swim through tunnel. You know those 3D glass tunnels you go through at SeaWorld where like the fish are around you?
Yeah.
You swim through those, you destroy them, you eat patrons, and then you fucking fight Free Willy.
Awesome.
He's not actually Free Willy, but the name implies that he's supposed to be Free Willy. And you fucking own that bastard, because in real life, orcas actually feed on sharks as a prey source. So to see, because what happens is you beat him as a boss, and then it cuts above like a horizon shot, and it's just SeaWorld. And then you just see the shark come up out of the water with the whale in its mouth, and it just bites it in half. And it's
awesome.
Yeah. And then from there, it's basically a bunch of Jaws versus this scenarios, and they kind of peaked early with the orca. Anyway, not the point. So that's Jaws.
Wait. What else does Jaws fight? Does it fight the alligator from Lake Placid?
That's a crocodile, but no.
Whatever.
It fights a squid. You fight people. You fight fishermen, and then you fight the fucking army. They basically
Genius.
they send the Coast Guard Division of the Navy out to fight you, and it's fucking over the top as hell. You just destroy it, and it makes no sense how a shark is able to do it. It's a fun game. It is insanely over the top, but it is so much fun.
That's cool. No, I don't know. I like Jaws. It's such a ridiculous premise. At a certain point, I'm just like, why not just say it's a megalodon? Just really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sharks.
Like, I like that the shark gets progressively bigger in each movie, or as the movie goes on, and then even bigger in the other movies. At first, it's 20 foot, then it's 25 foot, then by the end of the movie, it's a 35-foot shark. Then in the second movie, it's 40 foot. It gets bigger and bigger. It's ridiculous.
That's one big shark.
Yeah, and it's funny because Jaws, the size of the shark is not common, though it is possible. I think the highest on record was 27 feet. But they can get pretty fucking big, and it's not outlandish. It's just not common. But what was it? Oh, it's funny. The one in Jaws, The Revenge, it looks more like a tiger shark to me. It's weird. But just trying to think if there's anything else we haven't covered. I really like the way the movie has a gorgeous cinematography.
Oh yeah, I'll agree with you.
Yeah, wonderful.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yep, pretty much. God,
like I just adore the opening shots on the beach. One of my favorite shots, and this is one of the most iconic, is where Chrissy is running into the surf, and she just jumps down, and the sun is just about to come up. I've been on the beach at that time, and it's beautiful. And they really capture that. And it's perfect for a movie that's all about shattering a pleasant looking area. Cause in that gorgeous setting, this poor girl gets fucking wrecked by this shark. It's just, and all that's left is a fucking arm. It's really, really well done. And let me just say this, just as a personal note. Where Amity would be in the real world if it actually exists would be about 20 minutes away from where I live. And this movie the reason why it's so special to me on a personal note is just because it looks like home to me. Whenever I watch Jaws, I feel like I'm home. And it's just because that's how Long Island fucking looks, and that's how people on Long Island act. And, they're so caught up in their own lives, and they care more about how the town's going, and they have this whole small town mentality. It's a really personal movie for me, and for Steven Spielberg to capture that so well, it's another thing that makes me love this movie so much and why it's in my top 5 favorite movies.
I agree. I mean, Let the Right One In, the original Swedish movie, makes me think like that way about Moscow.
So funny that we associate just bloody horror movies with where we live. It's fucking hilarious. I wonder if people who live in Tokyo feel that way about the first Godzilla movie.
It's like,
if they do, that'd be really funny.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that's captured the essence of Fort Wayne like that.
That one line. Maybe is it that one line in Planet of the Apes?
No, it's probably, believe it or not, the show The Middle. Because they're in Fort Wayne, and there's this line of dialogue that really just caught us just perfectly. Oh, we're gonna go to that new restaurant, The Fountain. I hear they have a fountain. That's Fort Wayne, all right. There's Middletown, America. I just need to see someone just. Really, honestly, if you want to see the perfect portrayal of life in Fort Wayne, watch Ian and David's Adventure to Georgetown, because it's just like we sit around the house for the first 3 hours of the first 3 hours of time in the movie. And
It's like the first 3 hours of the movie. I'm like, how long is that fucker?
No, the movie's only 46 minutes long, but in time of the movie, we sit around the house for 3 hours just trying to think of something to do.
Yeah, I tried to do that
Walk
with
to
mine.
Georgetown.
Yeah, I tried to do that with mine too, where I try to kind of show the audience what Carl Place is like and why it's so shocking. Something like what's happening is happening there.
There used to be a little back history on the place that I live, Varg Farm in Liverpool. Apparently, before I came here, this whole place was basically this giant mafioso, infested area with child prostitution and murder on every street. And then they built the police station, and now it's
And
cleaner.
then Milan showed up, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is getting to be a bad neighborhood."
Pretty
See,
much.
I love how this turned into us describing our hometowns and what movies best to encapsulate them. But that's why
it's weird. I mean, everyone has that mental image of New York and Chicago and Russia and everything. But there's it's Fort Wayne. It's just
it's Long Island. It's like who the fuck knows what Long Island looks like aside from the beaches? And I mean, to be fair, that's mostly what Jaws is. But you see a lot of what it's like to live in a Long Island town. It's just so small and so the people are just so wrapped up in their own fucking lives. It's just each town on Long Island is a mini Manhattan in that way. It's so funny.
No, it's weird in Fort Wayne. It's just so dull. Like I said, I've said this before. This is the state, Indiana is the state where they invented corn mazes. If you don't know what a corn maze is, it's exactly what it sounds like. Someone went to a field of corn and said, "Hey, you know what'll be fun? If we cut a maze into this bitch and get lost for 3 hours in the middle of the hot sun."
May I share a brief anecdote quickly?
Go ahead.
Involving a shark. Okay, so you know the scene in Jaws where this is the second. this is right after Hooper and Brody have confronted Mayor Vaughn about the fact that it's definitely a great white and how it's still out there and it's going to kill people on the 4th of July. And it's the 4th of July, this big, all beaches are packed. And you know how when the fin comes through and they call everyone out of the water, how it's this big rampage of people trying to get out of the water, this stampede, and people are screaming and they're getting run over by people and just people are knocking rafts over. That happened to me once. This is a very long time ago. I was maybe 9 years old, and I was at the beach with my cousins here on Long Island, and we have a beach near here called Jones Beach, and we're in the water, and it's a very, very packed, crowded day. I believe it was early August, and the lifeguard starts screaming, "Everybody get out of the water, there is a shark." And for some reason, I started smiling because I loved Jaws so much as a kid. And I'm just at no point in my mind did I just think, there's a fucking shark in the same water as me, I could get eaten. But my cousins are older than me, so they get us all out. There's people stampeding, and it was the same fucking thing. And it's so depressing because Jaws captures that moment where people are getting stampeded over and they just leave them behind, just dying in the surf, just getting the waves crashing over them. Again, that fucking happened to me. A couple of my cousins got up on before I did, and I just got hit by a wave and I had to crawl up on my own. I'm crying. It was so bad. And guess what? The shark turned out to be a dolphin.
Aw.
It was really depressing because I'm I almost drowned because of a fucking dolphin.
Yeah,
you nearly drowned because people are shit.
Yeah,
Yep.
that too.
I remember when I was a kid, we went on vacation. I want to say it was to Florida or Georgia. And I got to hold a baby shark someone caught. That was a neat experience. It was dead by that point, but I got to hold it. And I think it was that same summer I got to hold baby alligator too in my hands, and I was like 7, and that freaked me the hell out. It's weird. I got the picture. I'll post it now for everyone to see. I'll go scan it in and post it when I'm done with this. But yeah, it's got its mouth duct taped there and everything, but I still was freaked the fuck out.
Are you crying?
No, I'm just like, I'm smiling, but I still remember not smiling.
It's like a nervous smile, like, get this thing out of my hands. But that reminds me, I caught a fucking shark once when I was fishing.
Yeah?
I nearly
Did it get inside your boat and then destroy it?
No, it was a 3-foot sand shark, but it still could bite your fucking hand off. And I thought my uncle, who's a fisherman, he's a sports fisherman, he doesn't do that for a living. So we hooked this thing, and he's like, oh, it's probably just a sea bass, and we'll eat it later. And this thing fucking comes up, snapping, because it's a fucking baby shark. And I'm just like, ah! And it gets up on the boat, and my uncle's like, just grab it. I'm like, it's a fucking shark, man! And it drops on the boat, it's flapping around, its teeth are fucking going. My uncle's kids are younger than me, so they're like screaming. His wife's in the boat, she's screaming, grab the fucking shark! And my uncle grabs it and he's like, here, you want to hold it? I'm like, no, I don't want to hold the shark. And I still did. It was an intense experience. I saw a shark in person and I caught it. It was awesome.
My experience with the beaches, when I was a little kid, I nearly drowned. I went swimming and there was these huge waves and they kind of swept me into the tide, and I was just gonna be tugged away out into the surf, and I was being spun around in the waters, and I was, if it wasn't for the lifeguard who dove in and saved me, I would have drowned. Weird thing is, I was thinking about Darkwing Duck and wishing that I had one, that little grappling hook gun thing he had, so I can pull myself to shore. But then I thought, oh god, what if the surf dashes me against those sharp fucking rocks over there? And so I'm like, I'm gonna, please don't give up, try to swim to the surf, and I couldn't. I was getting swept away, and then I saw a man in a red Speedos leaping into the waters after me, and I was brought out by a lifeguard.
His name was David Hasselhoff.
No. The funny thing, he did kind of look like Hasselhoff, but the thing is, my sister was meant to be looking after me. She just kind of like, hey, Milan, go there. And then I nearly drowned, and then my mom and my sister started yelling at me. What the fuck are you doing? You embarrassed me.
Milan, you have the worst family ever. And although me and Ian tell fairly, they're kind of intense stories, but they're not scary, they're not depressing. And you fucking tell a depressing story where you almost died.
I almost died, so my parents, or my mother and my sister yelled at me.
And me and Ian were like, oh, one time we held sharks and it was kind of scary. And you're just like, I almost died in the water.
And my laughed at me. No, seriously, they were like,
Milan, the only way that story could be even sadder is if your mother spanked you after it happened.
And then spit on you.
Funny you should say, oh my god, that actually happened.
What? Oh my god. This is so not, it has nothing to do with Jaws anymore. Let's wrap this up.
No, because we're talking about like the nostalgic connection to the beach and stuff, so it is relevant because this is what's in it. There was one thing about Jaws I wanted to talk about before we wrapped up.
Yeah.
And I suppose it is a strength of the movie that they do make the characters so believable, so realistic in the beginning of the film. And there's this phenomenon, and it's only Jaws. This doesn't happen with any other, underwater monster movie. People are afraid to go into pools, ponds, lakes, anything that's not an ocean because of Jaws.
Right.
I was listening to a story a couple years ago on NPR, and there's like this woman who went and saw Jaws when it was new in the theaters, and she had a pool in her backyard, and she lived in the Midwest, and she was like, 16, 17 years old when she saw this movie, and she was afraid to go into the pool. It's such a weird phenomenon with this movie. It's like it's the only movie that scares people to go into waters that they know for a fact there are no sharks in.
It did it to me too, which is kind of weird because I will be the first. I never found Jaws to be a scary movie. It was always just a really it was just always a really good, intense, entertaining movie to me. And I never found it truly scary, but I guess I must have kind of subconsciously, because there was this one time where I was upstate, and in upstate, of course, there's no beaches, but there are, there are, of course, lakes, and they try to make it look like a beach to where it's like, it's got sand and shit. But the water up there is shit, so they have to put chemicals in it to make it look clearer and less like a fucking pond, and more like the beach. And it made the water look red. And I walked up to a lifeguard and I'm like, "Sir, why is the water so red?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just the chemicals." I didn't fucking believe him. I didn't go in that water. I thought there were fucking sharks in it. I was just terrified. And it was really small too, which is sad. It was just, I have this vivid memory of it in my head. It was so weird. But yeah, Jaws had that impact, and it's just because you just get to see every single facet of how the shark affects this society, and you also get to see this shark has no fucking limits. Chief Brody sends his kid to go to put his boat in the fucking pond so the shark can't get him. Guess what? Shark fucking gets him. Well, it doesn't kill him, but it, almost does.
That's actually one thing I wanted to mention about the sequels. I actually really enjoyed Jaws: The Revenge for the simple fact that one of these family members fucking died. It's such a weird situation that all of them survive 4 movies of shark attacks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right? And you've also just got to be like, why does this fucking keep happening to us? Like, what is it about our family that just attracts great white sharks?
That's what kind of worked about the second movie, is they kind of give that, light exposition that the sharks have communicated with each other like dolphins do.
Which is fucking horseshit, by the way.
It's fucking horseshit, but once again, Bill, the movie sets it up so that you wouldn't survive if this happened to you, so there would be no research on it, so no one would know about this.
It's horseshit. Sharks they're fucking fish. They don't fucking
No shit,
starve.
they're fucking fish, Bill. We get it. It's bull science. In the context of the movies, it works.
Not Jaws 2. Jaws 2 didn't have me believing that. I was like, fuck this.
No,
because it didn't have Matt Hooper in it, or Quint.
It was a fairly clever bit of exposition that it's just, it's actually kind of like dolphins. They're able to communicate with each other. Like they said, the scientist dismisses it, but it's a fear he has, and it's a justified fear because it keeps fucking happening.
One of the only things I like about Jaws 2 is that you get to see the orca wrecked in the bottom of the ocean. I like that for some reason. I don't know why. I was like, because it's like, it goes...
I'm curious, did they just go find where Spielberg sank that fucking boat?
No, because I don't think no, Ian, they didn't actually sink it in Martha's Vineyard. They sank it in a tank.
Oh, really? It didn't look like it. That was really good camera work. I thought they just somewhere in the ocean.
No, you think no? Because they had this huge contract with Martha's Vineyard where they can't. Once the movie is done, everything that they did had to be like it never happened. Like, they couldn't leave any pieces of the set there. Everything they changed had to be fixed. Like the one set they built for the film in Martha's Vineyard was Quint's fucking shack, and the town freaked out because they were like, "No, you've tampered our picturesque community," and they're like, "We'll have it down in less than 24 hours. Calm down." But no, the boat didn't actually sink out there.
No, I thought it really. I mean, that's brilliant shooting. That's what you get from Spielberg, because I could not tell that was on a set. I mean, it looked fantastic.
Yeah, it does.
It was fucking beautiful.
There's some great use of different places they shot it. There were like 4 different locations where they shot the movie. It was the actual, on location in Martha's Vineyard. Then there was stuff in Australia where they shot the actual live great white sharks. And then there was the stuff in the tanks back at Universal where you saw the close-ups of the animatronic shark underwater. And then there's the stuff in Martha's Vineyard where the shark's coming up on the boat. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really good, and I didn't realize that the name of the boat was Orca. You got the whole point you made about orcas eat sharks. That's clever character development for Quint.
Yes.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm all about out of stuff to say about Jaws and nostalgia. I mean, I always liked Jaws. I don't care for the first half of the movie. It just takes too long. Or not first half hour, I'd say. of the movie. It takes too long to build up, and I still have a problem with a lot of the soundtrack because it doesn't fit to what I feel they were trying to do. And Bill, I mean, your point's fair. I didn't feel fooled, and admittedly, sure, I know how the movie ends, but still, I didn't feel fooled that this was getting close to the end of the movie. It just took me out of the moment. And it kind of ruined that moment for me. So those are my biggest complaints about the movie. But obviously, Jaws is a classic film, and it's really good. And you know, the sequels are not the worst things ever made. Go into them knowing they're not good, and you might enjoy them.
I actually agree with that. And I have this disdain for them, but they're not. Again, they're not. Jaws 2 especially is not Batman and Robin level bad, or the Room
it's
level
good.
bad.
I like Jaws 2 because you get to see kind of where that character goes.
Exactly, precisely.
I mean, I really was kind of disappointed that he's, like, honestly, I think Jaws, as much as I like the lines at the end as they're, you know, swimming away, I really think Jaws could have ended on that somber note of him sitting out there waiting for rescue and then us not knowing whether or not it comes. That would have been a pretty good note to end it on, leaving the scientist dead, too. It was kind of weird that he just pops up, but he was no help the entire fucking time the boat was sinking and shit.
Yeah, and that was actually a mistake.
Well, no, it's stuff like that. I mean, it would have worked if he'd just been sitting out there waiting for help to come, or hoping for help to come, but maybe it wouldn't. We wouldn't know if the movie just ended with him, you know, sitting on the wreckage of the Orca, after he killed the shark. That would have been a good touch, because you have that whole thing with Quint's speech about sharks and, you know, sitting in the ocean and everything. It would have really tied those two characters together in kind of that circular way, and that would have been interesting. And the second movie still would have worked on that premise alone, because, you know, we don't see Hooper in the second movie, so it could have been a much more believable thing, and that would have made him much more like Quint in the second movie, which once again was totally what they were going for.
Yeah, I mean, Jaws
The one thing I want to ask, you know, you guys keep talking, but kept talking, but in the book sounds like complete shit. Like Hooper has
it's not complete shit. It's just it's not the same kind of story as the movie. It's a completely different attempt at telling us a story about a shark that invades a small town. It's not terrible. It's different from the movie, and if you watch the movie first, you're probably not going to like the book, and that's the problem I had. But it's funny because the whole Hooper surviving thing is not the way the movie was shot until they got back to Universal, because they found out that there was this really great footage they shot with the actual sharks in Australia, where the shark actually took the cage apart, which is what happens in the movie. But in the original script, and they shot it this way in the Universal lot, the shark was supposed to eat fucking Hooper. And what happened was, down in Australia, the footage was so good and so real, because again, it was a real fucking shark, but there was no one in the cage. So they couldn't have it where they couldn't use that footage of the shark taking the cage apart and have Hooper still be dead. So they wrote it into the movie that Hooper survives. I like that because I love Hooper.
Well, it's so random. He's like, oh,
yeah,
the boat's crashed, Quint's dead, shark's gone, but now I'm back.
yeah, I agree. I mean, the only thing is that he's just waiting for the shark to go away, but it is a little weird, because I just wish there was a line where Brody's like, where the fuck have you been?
I've been hiding from the giant fucking shark. What have you been doing?
Killing the giant fucking shark! And I'm the guy who's terrified of water!
Well, you have a gun. I am fucking in the scuba suit in a fucking little flimsy cage. Don't judge me.
Anyway, well, you had a pole you could have gotten with poison at the end of it. Anyway, so Jaws is a perfect movie for me. Every frame is just absolutely beautiful, and I love everything about it. Again, one of my favorite movies. Every time I watch it, it's just a great movie to me. Every time I watch it, I can't help but feel good about myself, and just feel amazing. I don't have a lot to say about it aside from I love it. It's a 5 out of 5 movie for me. So.
All right, Milan, go ahead and wrap up on your thoughts then.
I agree. This is a really, 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 really good movie. Really competent filmmaking. Really realistic world in the best sense, but still keeping that level of fanciful Spielberg-esque movie making. Best of Spielberg. Really great tension building. A really great setup. Really great payoff. Really good effects. Really great actors. It's Jaws. What do you expect me to say? What else can I say? It's a really good thing that we did. It's a good movie that we watched, and we all agree that it is good.
All right, what score do you give it, Milan?
I give it 5 out of 5, obviously.
Okay, I'm the dissenting opinion here. I'd take away 1.5 points for those major complaints I had with it. It's a very classically paced film, and that's problematic with communicating to future generations because it gets more out of date every year.
Fuck newer generations. They're all a bunch of cunts.
Okay, tell that to Quentin Tarantino and what he did for pacing in film. Anyway, so I'm gonna have to give it a 3.5. I don't know, wrecked orcas. Is that good, Bill?
No, but it's okay. I still kind of like you. I am going to give Jaws 5 Quint crackers out of 5.
Oh,
All
clever bitch.
Yeah, I give it 3.5 destroyed orca ships out of 5.
I give it 5 giant sharks out of 5.
So
Because I'm
generic.
clever that way.
That was
Shut up.
I like that this has gotten so fucking meta. The contestants from Who Reviews the Reviewers are now reviewing each other's reviewing marks.
It just makes so much sense.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So next week it's a debate topic, and it is my turn. So
Speaking of meta,
because Milan forfeited his topic since he wasn't around to give one last time. So my debate topic is in literature, which is better, or which is, hold on, let me restart. In literature, which is the better focus? Metaphor or character? So we'll be talking about that and get into heated debate. I'm sure one of us is gonna die, place your bets now.
oh good, I can't wait for this one.
Place your bets now. Margins are leaning on Milan. That's where the smart money is.
Well,
But-
dude, you really think I'm gonna die? Dude, do you know where I grew up? I grew up in the bear pit, fighting as a
You got the
baby.
nostalgia critic and a guy who the nostalgia critic hired who looked just like Quint.
Yes.
Yeah, but that ain't shit, nigga.
Oh no, you didn't.
What's side,
motherfucker.
nigga?
Bill, it's not fun when you do it. It gets desperate.
Yeah.
Fuck
You're
bullshit.
you're a white person, so that makes everything you
And
say.
so are you, dirty cocksucker.
I didn't say the N-word. I said motherfucker. That's different. That's an racial thing
And
to
you're
say.
not American, so you're not allowed to say that.
No, I'm Russian.
No,
I
shut up.
said-
You're done. You're
Mother-
done.
Okay. Anyway, thank you everybody for listening. We're gonna continue arguing amongst ourselves.
This is why people love our show, because we just hate each other so much.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I mean, most people go watch critics like the Nostalgia Critic because they get to see him suffer and hate things. They get to see us enjoy good things and enjoy them with us, but we just hate each other. So we got, best of both worlds here.
It's amazing.
Anyway.
Because like Geekvolution, they all like each other, so it's just, it's great, but it's wholesome. We just fucking hate each other.
I mean, seriously,
No.
I've got like at
we're
least...
the triple X version of Geekvolution.
He almost said the R-rated version. I'm like, and instead we have to be the porn version. Why do we have to be the porn smooth of Geekvolution? That would be terrible.
Okay. Listen, guys. Until next time, I'm the philosopher.
I'm the fanatic!
And I'm the madman.
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.
Bye.